One day, Peppa and her mom were taking a walk in the park when, from the opposite direction, Susie Sheep and her mother appeared. Everything seemed normal until the two mothers suddenly clashed. Susie's mom walked out proudly and bragged about how much money she had. But Peppa and her mom simply glanced at each other, then chuckled, before Mommy Pig pulled out an even larger stack of cash, making Susie's mom blush in embarrassment. Susie's mom whipped out a sparkling diamond ring worth a fortune. Neither side was willing to back down, and soon they launched into a full-on brawl right there in the park. At that very moment, a frog witch flew by on her broomstick. She landed, intending to break up the fight, but instead got caught up and thrown aside. Furious, the frog witch drew her wand, cast a spell, and instantly turned Peppa and Susie back into their mother's wombs. The two moms were shocked to suddenly find themselves pregnant, but their anger didn't fade. Mommy Pig quickly pulled out a chili pepper and ate it. Immediately, Peppa inside her belly felt the burn and breathed fire. And strangely, Mommy Pig breathed fire too, just like her daughter. The flames shot straight at Susie's mom, leaving her covered in soot and dirt. Enraged, Susie's mom grabbed a glass of spicy smoothie and gulped it down. Susie inside her belly grew so hot she spewed lava, and Susie's mom followed, blasting a stream of molten lava right back at Mommy Pig. The tension between the two mothers reached its peak, and at that very moment, Peppa and Susie from inside their mothers sent out signals for help. Both moms froze, calmed down, looked at each other, and finally shook hands to make peace. One beautiful morning, Peppa woke up with her stomach growling loudly. She sat on the sofa, her mind filled with flying images of food. Without hesitation, Peppa rushed straight to the fridge, and in the blink of an eye, every bit of food inside was gone. But oh no, she was still hungry. Was this the bottomless pit version of Peppa? Peppa then ran out to the street and spotted the donut stand of Mr. Giraffe. Her eyes lit up, she dashed like a whirlwind and devoured every single donut, leaving Mr. Giraffe frozen in shock. But it didn't stop there. Peppa stumbled upon Dark Peppa's ice cream stand. Dark Peppa, already aware of the wanted notice, quickly called the police. Two officers rushed in and shouted, "Peppa, you're under arrest for eating too much." But big mistake within moments. Peppa knocked them both down and stormed the ice cream stand, wiping it clean in seconds. Oh my, this level of eating could only be called a natural disaster Peppa scale. By now, Peppa's belly was round and swollen like a giant balloon. She staggered home but got stuck in the doorway. Furious, she smashed the door apart and squeezed through. Inside, she cried to her dad, clutching her belly. Daddy Pig sighed and pulled out a bottle of laxatives. But before he could say a word, Peppa had already gulped down the whole thing. Immediately, she bolted to the bathroom and stayed there until late at night, never coming back out. Oh dear, this truly was the feast of a lifetime and the ultimate nightmare for that poor toilet. One sunny day, Peppa was playing in her little swimming pool. Up in the sky, the frog witch flew by on her broomstick and accidentally dropped a magic orb into Peppa's yard. As soon as it touched the ground, the orb transformed into a sparkling, colorful magic door. Peppa stared at it curiously, walked around to inspect it, and after some thought, decided to step through. On the other side was a dazzling world, full of bright colors. While exploring, Peppa met a little mouse sitting sadly by the road. Strangely, the mouse had no colors at all, only dull gray. Peppa asked what had happened, and the mouse explained that Dr. Wolf had invented a strange machine that could steal everyone's colors. As they were talking, a loud scream echoed from afar. They ran toward the sound and saw Dr. Wolf walking away with the machine strapped to his back. On the ground lay Freddy Fox, unconscious, his body completely drained of color. When Freddy woke up, Peppa came up with a clever plan. Together, they painted bright colors back onto the mouse and Freddy to lure Dr. Wolf in. Soon, Dr. Wolf spotted the colorful mouse and was immediately drawn in. But just then, he heard a voice from behind. Turning around, he was shocked to see Freddy glowing with vibrant colors again. As Dr. Wolf rushed to attack Freddy, Peppa suddenly leapt out, grabbed the machine, and used it to suck away all of Dr. Wolf's colors. Terrified, Dr. Wolf fled. Peppa said goodbye to her new friends and stepped back through the magic door, returning home. But as she reached her house, she tripped and fell, accidentally activating the machine. In an instant, all the colors of her house were sucked away. Peppa panicked. and before she could fix it, Mommy and Daddy Pig came out and scolded her soundly.
One day, Peppa and her little brother were playing with a remote-controlled toy airplane. Peppa really wanted to try, but George refused to let her play. Angry, Peppa grabbed the controller. George held on tightly, and the two started pulling it back and forth. They accidentally pressed all the buttons, and the airplane went out of control, flying wildly before disappearing into the distance. George burst into tears, upset about losing his favorite toy. Peppa felt guilty but comforted him. "Don't worry, I'll help you find it." So, the two set off together to look for the missing plane. They crossed roads and reached a riverbank. Above them, the toy plane suddenly lost power and fell. When Peppa and George arrived, the python had already woken up. Furious, it lunged at them. The two siblings screamed and quickly hid behind a big tree, trembling in fear. Just then, they heard a cry for help nearby. It was a little elephant trapped in a cage. Bravely, Peppa and George ran over and freed the elephant. But at that very moment, the giant python returned. Peppa and George quickly hid behind the elephant. The elephant, however, was not afraid. He grew larger and larger until he was even bigger than the python. With one mighty roar, the elephant scared the python away. Relieved, Peppa and George thanked the elephant and said goodbye before heading home. Back at home, George cried to Mommy and Daddy Pig, confessing that he had lost his airplane. One sunny day, Peppa, Susie Sheep, and their friends were happily playing on the beach. Susie was carefully building her own sandcastle. After a lot of effort, she finally finished and smiled proudly. But when she looked over, she was surprised Peppa had built an even bigger and prettier sandcastle. Everyone clapped and cheered for Peppa, and Peppa felt so proud. Suddenly, Peppa's sandcastle collapsed. Everyone sighed in disappointment, but then they all decided to build another castle together. While they were busy building, a little crocodile came over and shyly asked to join. But Peppa coldly refused. The crocodile walked away sadly, with tears in his eyes. A little later, the friends went to swim in the sea. George, Peppa's little brother, reminded everyone to wear life jackets to stay safe. But Peppa didn't listen. She jumped straight into the water. As she swam, Peppa noticed lots of trash floating beneath the waves. Suddenly, a piece of garbage wrapped around her leg, and she couldn't swim back up. In that dangerous moment, the crocodile returned. He quickly swam over, pulled the trash away, and saved Peppa.
Let's go. Oh no!
Grateful, Peppa thanked him and invited the crocodile to join their play. She also told her friends about the trash in the sea. Together, they decided to clean up the beach, picking up all the litter. Everyone had fun, and they learned an important lesson about keeping the ocean clean. One sunny day, Peppa, Susie Sheep, and their friends were happily playing on the beach. Susie was carefully building her own sandcastle. After a lot of effort, she finally finished and smiled proudly. But when she looked over, she was surprised Peppa had built an even bigger and prettier sandcastle. Everyone clapped and cheered for Peppa, and Peppa felt so proud. Suddenly, Peppa's sandcastle collapsed. Everyone sighed in disappointment, but then they all decided to build another castle together. While they were busy building, a little crocodile came over and shyly asked to join. But Peppa coldly refused. The crocodile walked away sadly, with tears in his eyes. A little later, the friends went to swim in the sea. George, Peppa's little brother, reminded everyone to wear life jackets to stay safe. But Peppa didn't listen. She jumped straight into the water. As she swam, Peppa noticed lots of trash floating beneath the waves. Suddenly, a piece of garbage wrapped around her leg, and she couldn't swim back up. In that dangerous moment, the crocodile returned. He quickly swam over, pulled the trash away, and saved Peppa. Grateful, Peppa thanked him and invited the crocodile to join their play. She also told her friends about the trash in the sea. Together, they decided to clean up the beach, picking up all the litter. Everyone had fun, and they learned an important lesson about keeping the ocean clean. One afternoon, Peppa's little brother was chasing after her in the yard because Peppa was holding his favorite toy. Peppa playfully climbed up a tree to hide. Her little brother stood below, upset and helpless. Peppa giggled on the tree branch, but suddenly she slipped and fell. Boom! Her leg hurt badly, and she couldn't stand up anymore. Mommy and Daddy Pig quickly rushed her to the hospital. The doctor examined her and said Peppa had broken her leg. When Peppa saw her leg covered in a big white cast, she burst into tears. Her parents hugged her tightly, comforting her with gentle words. In the days that followed, the whole family cared for Peppa with love.
Okay. The next day.
When her leg finally healed, Peppa and her parents went back to thank the doctor.
Bye.
One day, Peppa saw Susie Sheep climbing a tree to play. The memory of her fall came rushing back. Peppa quickly ran over and warned her friend, "Susie, it's dangerous up there. Please come down." One evening, while Peppa was outside, she found Dark Peppa lying injured in front of her house. Peppa quickly carried her inside and laid her down to rest. The next morning, Peppa cooked Dark Peppa's favorite dishes and invited her to eat. After the meal, the two friends happily played football together. Dark Peppa accidentally kicked the ball into Peppa's face. She hurried over to apologize, but Peppa simply smiled and said it was okay. When they got tired, both of them returned home. That night, while Peppa and Dark Peppa were asleep, a thief snuck into the house with the intent to steal Peppa's valuables. While rummaging through the house, the thief tried to take one of Peppa's paintings. Dark Peppa heard the noise, woke up, and rushed to stop him. But the thief pushed her down and raised a baseball bat to strike. At that moment, Peppa came running out from her room. Seeing the danger, she threw herself forward and took the heavy blow meant for Dark Peppa. Peppa collapsed, unconscious. The terrified thief dropped everything and fled. One day, Peppa was lying on the sofa, listening to music. But the music was too loud, and Daddy Pig became upset. He told Peppa to turn it down, but she didn't listen. Finally, Daddy Pig grew angry and scolded her. Feeling sad, Peppa walked into the kitchen. There, she saw Mommy Pig carrying some plates of food. Peppa remembered how happy Mommy was the last time she helped. So she quickly offered to help again, but this time, Mommy Pig said no. Peppa still insisted and grabbed the plate's crash. They both tumbled down, and the food scattered everywhere. Mommy Pig grew angry and scolded Peppa too. Peppa walked outside, her heart heavy with sadness. Just then, a sly gray wolf appeared. He held out a shiny magic potion and whispered, "Drink this and you will become scary. You can frighten your parents as much as you like." Peppa believed him and drank the potion. At once, her body began to change colorful spots, spread all over her skin. She ran back home and tried to scare Mommy and Daddy Pig. Her parents huddled in the corner, trembling with fear. Peppa laughed, thinking it was fun. But soon, the potion grew stronger. Peppa lost control, her hands growing huge as she swung them wildly. At that moment, memories of happy times with her family flashed in her mind. Peppa trembled, slowly regaining her senses. Terrified of what she had become, she ran outside. She tripped over a tree and fell to the ground, fainting. By the time she woke up, the potion's power had faded away. Peppa opened her eyes and found herself safe, wrapped in her parents' warm embrace. They held her close, and Peppa realized love from her family was the most important magic of all.
One afternoon, Peppa and Susie Sheep were happily playing football in the yard. They laughed and had so much fun. But suddenly, Peppa kicked the ball too hard and it hit Susie right in the face. Susie grew angry and started chasing Peppa. Peppa quickly ran into a flower garden to hide. Behind the flower bushes, Peppa had an idea. She picked some pretty flowers to give to Susie, not noticing the sign that said, "Do not pick the flowers." When Susie received the flowers, she smiled brightly and forgave Peppa. The two friends were happy again. But just then, the park guard appeared. He stopped Peppa because she had picked flowers from the restricted garden. Peppa felt worried and regretful. The next day, Mommy Pig came to pick her up. Peppa said sorry and promised never to break the rule again. The guard kindly reminded her, always pay attention to the signs you see. Back at home, Peppa decided to make up for her mistake. She returned to the garden, watering and caring for the flowers with love. When the guard walked by, Peppa greeted him politely. He smiled happily, glad to see Peppa doing the right thing. One day, Peppa and 3 of her friends were happily playing in the backyard pool. Suddenly, a shooting star streaked across the sky and fell into the forest behind Peppa's house. Peppa's friends were curious and wanted to go see it. Peppa tried to stop them, worried it might not be safe. But they didn't listen. They pushed Peppa aside and hurried into the forest. When they arrived, a strange mushroom had grown from the spot where the star had fallen. It gave off a strange smell. As soon as Peppa's friends breathed it in, they began to change. They lost control of themselves and turned into green zombies. When Peppa caught up, her friends were already chasing after her. Frightened, Peppa ran to find Mr. Tiger the hunter for help. Together they returned, and Mr. Tiger fought bravely with his weapon. But after a fierce struggle, he was defeated. Peppa tried to attack Dark Peppa from behind, but then she hesitated. She remembered all the happy times with her friends and couldn't do it. Dark Peppa took the chance and struck Peppa hard, sending her flying toward the Frog Witch's house. In despair, Peppa knocked on the door and begged the Frog Witch for help. At first, the witch ignored her, but Peppa cried and pleaded with all her heart. The witch was finally moved by Peppa's sincerity. She agreed to help. Together, they went back to the forest. When they found Peppa's friends still wandering like zombies, the witch raised her magic wand. With a flash of light, whoosh, the spell broke. Peppa's friends slowly returned to normal. Peppa ran to hold their hands tightly. The 4 friends laughed with joy and walked home together, safe and happy once more.
One morning, Peppa and George were happily bouncing on the grass near their home. On their picnic blanket, they had prepared lots of tasty food. But while they were busy playing, 2 sneaky gray mice crept in and stole all the food. When Peppa and George came back to rest, surprise, everything was gone. George was so hungry that he began to cry loudly. Peppa gently comforted him and promised, "Don't worry, I will find our food." She followed the tracks and soon discovered the 2 gray mice, happily eating the food. Peppa stepped forward and firmly asked for it back, but the older mouse refused, arguing with Peppa. At that moment, the younger mouse quietly carried the food over and gave it back to her. Peppa accepted it and turned to leave, but then she heard the younger mouse's tummy rumble with hunger. Peppa paused, thought for a moment, and then came back. She kindly shared her food with both mice The two brothers were overjoyed and thanked Peppa again and again. Peppa waved goodbye and brought the rest back to George. At first, George still looked sad with his empty, rumbling tummy, but when he saw Peppa return with food, he cheered up right away. In the park, the Frog Witch was happily eating candy. Suddenly, Peppa and a giraffe friend came running by, playing tag. The witch got scared, ran away, and forgot her bag of candy. Peppa picked it up and ate all the sweets. Right away, her body began to change. Peppa grew taller and taller until she became a giant Peppa. The giraffe was frightened and ran away. Peppa, confused and scared, hurried home to her parents. But when Mommy and Daddy Pig saw Giant Peppa, they were shocked. They quickly ran inside and slammed the door, leaving Peppa outside, sad and alone. Just then, Peppa heard cries for help. She rushed over and saw Susie Sheep and her friends being attacked by a robber. With her giant strength, Peppa easily lifted the robber and threw him into the river. Her friends cheered and thanked her loudly. Soon after, a forest fire broke out. Everyone panicked, not knowing what to do. Giant Peppa quickly grabbed a huge bucket of water and poured it over the flames. The fire went out, and the crowd cheered again. At that moment, the magic candy's effect wore off. Peppa shrank back to her normal size. All the forest animals and friends came to thank her warmly. That night, before going to bed, Peppa imagined her birthday coming the next day. She smiled, gave a little yawn, and soon fell fast asleep.
The next day.
The next morning, as soon as the rooster crowed, Peppa jumped out of bed and ran straight to the kitchen. She excitedly asked her parents about her birthday, but no one seemed to care. Peppa went to Mommy Pig to remind her, but Mommy just kept working. She turned to Daddy Pig, but he only signaled for her to be quiet while he read his newspaper. Peppa's heart sank. Feeling sad, she left the house and went to her friends who were playing with blocks. She wanted to join, but they all walked away. Peppa grew more and more confused. Then she went to Susie Sheep and the others, who were playing a singing game. Peppa sang along, but strangely, today no one liked her singing. Everyone left, leaving Peppa alone. She wandered through the streets, feeling lonely and upset. By evening, she slowly made her way back home. On the way, she passed Danny Dog's house and saw his family celebrating Danny's birthday. Tears welled up in Peppa's eyes, and she felt even more left out. Finally, Peppa opened her own front door, feeling heavy with sadness. And suddenly, boom! Voices shouted, "Happy birthday!" The whole family and her friends had been secretly preparing a big surprise party just for her. One morning, Peppa was happily playing outside with her friends. The sun was shining brightly in the sky, but everyone kept playing instead of going inside. Suddenly, Peppa felt dizzy and fainted. Mommy and Daddy Pig rushed over and quickly took her to the hospital. The doctor examined her and said, "Peppa has a high fever.
Yes.
She needs to stay in the hospital for one night." That night, Peppa had to sleep in the hospital. The next morning, when she woke up, she looked around and saw no one there. She began to cry loudly because she felt so lonely. Hearing her cries, Mommy and Daddy Pig hurried in to comfort her. Peppa told her mommy that she wanted to go outside and play with her friends, but her parents knew she wasn't well enough yet, so they gently said no. Peppa cried even harder. Just then, Peppa's friends arrived to visit her. They brought many toys so Peppa could play in her hospital room. Susie Sheep even gave her a sweet drawing as a gift. Peppa smiled again, feeling much happier. The next day, she was all better. She and her parents thanked the doctor and went home. At home, everyone had prepared a big party to welcome Peppa back. The house was filled with joy, laughter, and love. One beautiful day, Peppa's family went on a picnic near their home. They sat happily on a blanket, enjoying delicious food together. Suddenly, a strange machine came down from the sky. Before anyone could understand what it was, the machine switched on. It pulled with a powerful force, aiming right at Peppa's family. But instead of sucking them inside, it sucked away all of their colors. Peppa and her family looked at each other in shock. Their bright colors had turned gray and dull. The machine didn't stop there. It rolled into their house and started stealing the colors from everything inside. The once bright and cheerful home became pale and gloomy. After the first fright, the family gathered and made a plan. They decided to trick the machine with something even more colorful. Together, Peppa, George, Mummy, and Daddy Pig painted a big board with the brightest colors they could find. They placed it where the machine could see it. Sure enough, the strange machine was drawn to it immediately. It began to suck up all the colors from the board, but soon its chamber became too full. The machine shook and rattled, and then, boom, it exploded. All the stolen colors burst out and spread across the park. Peppa's family and their house regained their bright, happy colors once more. Everyone laughed with joy, relieved and excited after such a strange and magical day. One morning, Peppa and her little brother George were happily playing with building blocks in their yard. Suddenly, they heard a cry for help. They quickly ran to the sound and saw Susie Sheep stuck high up in a tree, trembling with fear. When Susie saw Peppa, she shouted, "Peppa, please help me!" Peppa stepped forward, did a few professional warm-up moves, and tried to climb the tree. But in just a moment, she slipped right back down. George rushed off and came back with a saw. He tried to cut the tree to rescue Susie. Peppa quickly stopped him. "No! If you cut it down, Susie will fall." While thinking hard, Peppa suddenly had an idea. She ran back to the yard, grabbed all the building blocks, and shared her plan with George. George agreed it was a great idea. Together, they started stacking the blocks one by one, making stairs higher and higher. Step by step, the staircase grew taller until it reached Susie Sheep. Peppa climbed up the sturdy steps and held Susie's hand. At last, Susie Sheep was rescued safely. The three friends hugged each other, laughing with joy, happy that a clever idea had saved the day. One beautiful morning, Daddy Pig was taking a walk in the park. Suddenly, from above, a strange purple mist drifted down and surrounded him. As soon as he breathed it in, Daddy Pig cried out in pain. His body shook, and he slowly transformed into a werewolf with glowing red eyes. He howled loudly, a chilling sound echoing through the park. A hunter passing by saw everything. Frightened, he ran to tell Peppa what had happened to her father. Peppa quickly rushed to the park with the hunter. When they arrived, Daddy Pig, in his werewolf form, was chasing people around. His howls filled the air, sending shivers down everyone's spine. Suddenly, he turned and charged at Peppa. The hunter raised his gun, ready to fire, but Peppa stepped in front of the barrel and shouted, "Don't hurt my daddy." At that tense moment, Peppa had an idea. She hurried home and brought back a toy, the very same toy she and her daddy had once played with happily together. When Daddy Pig saw the toy, warm memories returned to him. Slowly, the red glow in his eyes faded. The purple curse of the werewolf melted away. At last, Daddy Pig was himself again. Peppa ran to hug him tightly, filled with relief and joy. One beautiful day, Peppa and her family went for a walk in the forest. Suddenly, from the shadows, a werewolf appeared and attacked George. Peppa quickly pushed her little brother away, but she was bitten by the werewolf. When the creature ran off, the poison in Peppa's body began to spread. She cried out in pain and slowly transformed into Zombie Peppa. Under the spell of the poison, Peppa lost control. She attacked a stranger who was passing by, then turned to attack her own daddy and brother. Terrified, Daddy Pig and George ran back home, hiding behind the sofa. But just then, George accidentally farted, and the sound revealed their hiding place. They rushed into the bedroom and locked the door. Inside, Daddy Pig and George whispered, "We must fight back." When Zombie Peppa broke into the room, they were ready with makeshift weapons. George bravely charged first, but was defeated quickly. Seeing this, Daddy Pig swung his baseball bat at Zombie Peppa, but she dodged and knocked him down too. In the desperate moment, George came up with an idea. He threw a cake, Peppa's favorite food, straight into her mouth. Zombie Peppa gobbled it up happily, and like magic, the werewolf poison inside her disappeared. Peppa returned to normal again. One day, the Frog Witch was flying on her broomstick. Suddenly, she dropped a shiny magic potion down into the garden, right where Susie Sheep and Peppa were playing. Peppa saw the little glowing bottle. She picked it up, looked around, but no one was there. Curious, Peppa opened the bottle and took a sip. Right away, Peppa felt something strange in her tummy. She cried out in surprise, and Susie quickly ran over. Everyone gasped when Peppa's tummy suddenly grew big and round. Her family hurried to take her to the doctor. The doctor checked with his magic scanner and laughed. "Don't worry. Peppa is not sick at all. It's a magic egg." Everyone was amazed, then sighed with relief. Back home, Mommy and Daddy Pig, along with all of Peppa's friends, brought gifts and waited excitedly. They were curious to see what would hatch from the egg. At last, crack, crack. The egg opened. Inside was a tiny, glowing baby piglet, so cute and magical. Everyone cheered. "Wow, what a wonderful gift from magic." Peppa's family was taking a walk in the forest. Suddenly, Peppa saw a little house. She ran toward it, but then, from inside, a frog witch flew out on a broomstick, holding a magic wand in her hand. They looked at each other. While Peppa was still surprised, the frog witch waved her wand and turned Peppa into a wolf, then flew away. Peppa was terrified of her new appearance. She hurried to find her family. At that time, her family was also searching for her in the forest. From afar, Peppa came running happily, but in the form of a wolf. Seeing this, the rest of the family was frightened. George screamed in fear, and the whole family ran away. Only Peppa remained, desperately calling after them. Wandering through the forest in the shape of a wolf, Peppa suddenly encountered a hunter. The hunter chased after her, forcing her to run and struggle to escape.
A few moments
After a long, exhausting morning, Peppa, still in the form of a wolf, became very hungry. Suddenly, she smelled food in the air. She followed the scent and saw a cake. Peppa walked closer, ready to eat it. But just then, the hunter appeared again and attacked her with his gun. Peppa was so frightened that she ran away, but in the end, the hunter beat her for daring to take his food. Finally, after a long day of fear and hardship, Peppa collapsed and fainted from exhaustion. One sunny day, Peppa was relaxing in her little swimming pool. Suddenly, a tiny spider fell down and bit her, then quickly ran away. Peppa was startled, but she didn't notice anything strange. That night, while Peppa was sleeping, something magical was happening inside her body. The next morning, when Peppa looked in the mirror, she was shocked. She had turned into Spider Pig Peppa with amazing superpowers. The very next day, Susie Sheep slipped and was about to fall from a tall building. Everyone was scared and didn't know what to do. Just then, from far away, Peppa appeared in her Spider Pig suit. She swung across the tall buildings with her web and rescued Susie just in time. Everyone cheered. Later, in the city, a robber mouse attacked Little Zebra. Peppa quickly shot her web, took away his weapon, and defeated him in one move. In a secret room, Dr. Wolf heard the news and made a plan. He led his army to attack the city. At that moment, Peppa was playing happily with her friends. When the bad army came rushing in, Peppa used her webs to trap them all on the ground. Dr. Wolf pulled out a gun and fired, but surprisingly, the bullets didn't hurt Peppa at all. With her strong power, Peppa shot a big web and tied Dr. Wolf tightly. The city was safe again. Everyone clapped and cheered loudly. From that day on, Peppa was not only a sweet little pig, but also the city's brave hero, Spider Pig Peppa. One day, Peppa was playing in her room, but she threw all her toys everywhere. The room looked just like a messy dump. When Daddy Pig walked in, he was not happy at all. Another time, Mommy Pig was carrying a cake from the kitchen. Peppa ran around without looking and bumped into her. Mommy fell, and the cake dropped on the floor. Mommy Pig was very upset, but Peppa still didn't realize her mistake. That night, when Mommy and Daddy were sleeping, Peppa took out a big speaker, played loud music, and sang very noisily. Her parents couldn't sleep at all. They were very angry. Daddy Pig scolded Peppa and sent her outside. The door closed. Peppa was left alone in the dark with the cold wind blowing. She felt scared and very sorry for what she had done. When Mommy and Daddy saw that Peppa had learned her lesson, they opened the door and welcomed her back home.
A few moments later.
A few minutes later, Peppa cleaned up all her toys by herself. Then she went to bed under the warm and loving eyes of her parents.
One sunny day, Peppa was happily walking along the beach. She suddenly spotted a boy and was so curious. But while staring at him, Peppa wasn't watching where she was going and... oops! She tripped. Oh no! She fell right under Susie Sheep's skirt. Susie was shocked and thought Peppa was being rude. She shouted and kicked Peppa far, far away. Whoosh! Peppa went flying straight into the TV screen, where all her friends were watching a show. And then, boom! Out of the strange machine, countless Peppa copies burst out, filling the room. Peppa's friends turned pale with fear and quickly hid behind Susie Sheep. Susie spun around, wide-eyed with surprise at the army of Peppas. But her shock quickly turned into anger. Without hesitation, she kicked one Peppa after another, sending them flying back into the machine. Finally, Susie aimed a big finishing kick. But this time, Peppa blocked it and grabbed Susie's leg. Oh, what a twist. And then, surprise, all of Peppa's friends rushed in together. They surrounded the machine, lifted it up with Peppa still inside.
On her way home from school, Peppa suddenly spotted Daddy Pig at the market. Oh, how funny. A sticky piece of tape had gotten stuck to his shirt and he didn't even notice. Everyone around started giggling. Peppa quickly ran over and peeled the tape off for him. But just then, pfft! Daddy Pig let out a big fart. The smell was so stinky that Peppa couldn't stand it. She screamed out loud. And oh no! From her wide-open mouth, hundreds of little Peppas suddenly jumped out. Daddy Pig panicked and tried to cover Peppa's mouth to stop more copies from popping out, but it didn't work. In no time, the whole street was in chaos. The Peppa army stampeded, knocking people over and making a huge mess. Peppa felt really sad about all the trouble she caused. Back at home, Daddy Pig, Peppa, and her friends came up with a plan. Her friends would act as bait while Peppa and Daddy Pig prepared the trap. The friends teased and tricked the Peppa copies, leading the whole crowd right to the spot where Peppa and Daddy Pig were waiting. Meanwhile, Daddy Pig had pumped Peppa full of air, turning her into a giant Peppa. She stood tall, with a mouth as wide as a giant cave, ready and waiting. When her friends ran back with the Peppa army chasing them, giant Peppa opened her enormous mouth. Whoosh! All the Peppa copies ran straight inside and disappeared.
By the pool, George, Peppa's little brother, was happily watching something on his phone, giggling to himself. Peppa walked by, curious, and peeked at the screen. Right away, she wanted to watch too.
but George didn't want to share. He quickly got up and moved away. Peppa followed after him, but once again George stepped aside. He kept shooing her away, not letting her watch. Peppa got so mad. She stomped her feet, pouted, and marched back to her room. Inside her room, she rummaged around and found a strange little bottle of medicine. Without thinking twice, she opened it and drank it all. The effect was instant. Peppa's mouth grew wide, and her tummy started growling with hunger. Just then, a zebra walked by. With her big mouth and rumbling belly, Peppa ran over and gulped. She swallowed the zebra whole, and suddenly, a brand new Peppa clone popped out. Peppa kept going and soon spotted Dark Peppa walking down the street quickly. And when Dark Peppa wasn't looking, gulp, Peppa swallowed her too. Another Peppa clone appeared. On and on it went. Peppa swallowed so many people along the way and soon returned home with an entire army of Peppas behind her. Meanwhile, George was still glued to his phone, laughing at his show. But when he finally looked up, George gasped in shock. A crowd of Peppas was flooding into the house. Startled, he dropped his phone high into the air, and in a flash, gulp, Peppa swallowed the phone whole. Zap! A spark of electricity shot out, and suddenly the cloning tower burst wide open. Countless Peppas popped out all at once as George stood frozen, his eyes filled with fear. She stretched out her little hand trying to pick a shiny red apple. But just as she was about to grab it, snatch! A strange hand stole the apple away. Oh no! She was so angry that she argued with Dark Peppa. But then, bam! Dark Peppa pushed her around and even beat her up. Poor Peppa was furious. She stormed back home, went straight to her room, and pulled out the cloning machine. Peppa stepped inside and pressed the button. Whir, whir, whir. The machine shook and glowed brightly. And suddenly, whoosh! 1,000 Peppas appeared, rushing out to find Dark Peppa. At that moment, Dark Peppa was bullying George. She tried to scare him so she could steal his apple. But then, surprise, 1,000 Peppas jumped out and surrounded Dark Peppa from every side. George quickly ran behind the circle of Peppas. Dark Peppa tried to chase after him, but the Peppas closed the circle tighter and tighter, blocking every way out, filled with fear as the brave little Peppas closed in. By the pool, George, Peppa's little brother, was happily watching something on his phone, giggling to himself. Peppa walked by, curious, and peeked at the screen. Right away, she wanted to watch too. But George didn't want to share. He quickly got up and moved away. Peppa followed after him, but once again George stepped aside. He kept shooing her away, not letting her watch. Peppa got so mad. She stomped her feet, pouted, and marched back to her room. Inside her room, she rummaged around and found a strange little bottle of medicine. Without thinking twice, she opened it and drank it all. The effect was instant. Peppa's mouth grew wide, and her tummy started growling with hunger. Just then, a zebra walked by. With her big mouth and rumbling belly, Peppa ran over and gulped. She swallowed the zebra whole, and suddenly, a brand new Peppa clone popped out and soon spotted Dark Peppa walking down the street. Quickly, the other Peppas distracted her, and when Dark Peppa wasn't looking, gulp, Peppa swallowed her too. Another Peppa clone appeared. On and on it went. Peppa swallowed so many people along the way, and soon returned home with an entire army of Peppas behind her. Meanwhile, George was still glued to his phone at his show. But when he finally, George gasped in shock. A crowd of Peppas was flooding into the phone hole. Zap!
Oh no! Hello. Hello.
Hello. Thank you. No.
Hey, what happened?
Hey, baby.
Huh?
What? Let's go.
Huh?
What?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Aha!
Oh, baby.
Okay.
That was funny!
What?
Hey, what happened?
Huh?
Hey! Okay. Stop!
Hello.
Hey!
What?
Let's go.
Oh, baby.
What are you doing?
Hey!
Huh?
Hello.
Hello.
Huh?
Oh no. Whoa! What? Hey.
What happened?
Mommy! Huh?
Hello!
Huh? Ah! Oh no. Whoa! What?
Huh?
Okay.
Huh?
What?
What happened?
Stop!
What?
Okay.
Hey!
Okay.
Huh?
What?
Huh?
Daddy!
Huh?
Mommy!
Oh, baby.
Huh?
Mommy! Daddy!
What?
Mommy!
Huh?
What?
Help! Help! What? Hey! 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 Help! Help! What the? Oh no. What the?
Huh?
Hey! Hey! Hey, what happened? What's all the hubbub?
Mommy! What?
What are you doing?
Okay.
What?
Huh?
What happened?
Huh?
What? Hey! Hey! What? What?